Hey guys, today we're going to be looking at the Age of Apocalypse Cyclops Marvel Legends action figure. Here's a quick look at the box. At the top we see the Age of Apocalypse logo. Down to the bottom, some product information. Moving on to the side, nice artwork of Cyclops with his flashing eye. And moving on to the back, the same piece of artwork, description of Cyclops' character, rest of the figures in the wave. And on to the last side. This time they did not reflect that artwork, so his flashing eye is still on the right side. Let's go ahead and get him open. And on the plastic tray we see the action figure with the Colossus Build-A-Figure part and a grand total of 0 accessories. I really expected Hasbro to at least give him some swappable hands or a blast effect, maybe even an alternate head, so this is quite disappointing. In terms of sculpt, Cyclops is mostly reuse of that bucket cap mold. The new parts are his head sculpt, this armor piece, as well as his armored gauntlets on his arms. Zooming into his head sculpt, he's got a really angsty expression on it. He's got a one-piece visor and communicator, and that's cast in a golden looking plastic. Sharp application of the red paint for the eye. He's got long messy hair that's flung to one side of his head, and that's got some flowing textures all the way down. It looks a little too plain because it's just cast in a plain brown plastic with no shading to bring out any of those details. And also one thing that I think is missing from his face is some shading around his mouth area to bring out that 5 o'clock shadow that we see in the comics. So the head sculpt is really put together by a couple of different pieces of plastic and very little paint. Moving on to his torso, it is just cast in a plain blue plastic. The shoulder armor connects to his utility belt. There are a couple of pockets and compartments. The gold plastic actually catches the light well, and the brown paint applications on this armor piece actually bring out the textures in it, giving it a worn look. And if you look closer, you can also see scratches, dings, and dents in the sculpt. However, the paint and shading is not carried onto his utility belt, so that looks a little bit odd. Moving to the armor on his left arm, his left deltoid is actually cast in a skin tone plastic with the gold paint on top of that for the armor plate, and additional hit of brown paint to bring out the worn effect on that armor piece. Strangely, this gold paint actually matches the gold plastic on that armor on his shoulder much better than the gold plastic on his arm. Taking a closer look at the way his gauntlet is constructed, it's all assembled from different colored plastics. So the only paint effect over here is the weathering effect on the armor pieces. Moving on to his back. More pouches on his utility belt, as well as the weathering effect on that armor piece. And now we go down to the bottom half of the figure, and this is where I think it is so super boring. Everything is a plain blue plastic. There's no additional work done to bring out any of the specific details on the Age of Apocalypse Cyclops. They should have at least given him some different colored boots. I also think they could have used some new pieces for his knee pads. Or at the very least, Hasbro should have gone and given him bigger feet. We all know the feet on this bucket cap mold actually look kinda small anyway. For articulation, his head's on a ball hinge. The hair sculpt doesn't actually hinder full 360 rotation of his head. He can look down that far, as well as looking up a fair bit. Swivel hinge at the shoulders, you go 360 on the right side, but on the left side that's hindered by his armor piece. His arms can go out that far. Upper bicep swivel, so that goes 360. It feels detented. He's got double hinge elbows, but because of the thickness of his wrist gauntlets, you can only really get about 90 degrees. Swivel hinge at the wrists, so that goes 360, as well as articulating in, as well as out. But that's hindered by the armor on the back of his hand. Mid-torso ab crunch, getting you forward quite a bit, as well as backwards. He's got a waist swivel, so that goes 360 as well. Ball joint at the hips, so that goes outward pretty far. The thigh swivels on this thing tend to pop off as well, which is really strange. And he goes forward and backward that far. 360 thigh swivel. Double jointed knees for very good range. He's got a calf swivel that goes 360. Ankle tilt downwards as well as upwards. Ankle pivot outwards as well as inwards. His articulation scheme is pretty much Marvel Legends standard, so there are no surprises over here. But his lack of accessories really limit the options that you can have in play and display with this action figure. Size-wise, Cyclops stands at 6.5 inches or about 16.5 centimeters. So here's a quick side-by-side with the other Marvel Legends Cyclops action figures. There's just way too much overuse of that bucket cap mold. For size comparisons, here he is with Jean Grey and Weapon X, Iceman and Sunfire, Apocalypse and Blink, Spider-Man and Iron Man, some G.I. Joe Classified series, and some Star Wars Black series. Man, am I disappointed in this one. The head sculpt is just okay, the golden armor pieces are also decent with some weathering on them, but looking at the figure as a whole, he's got minimal paint applications, no accessories, and the bottom half of him looks like he's just wearing pajama leggings with zero detail for shading, knee pads, or boots. I really feel like Hasbro dropped the ball big time on this key character in the Age of Apocalypse. Please like and share this video, let me know what you think in the comments below, and subscribe to my channel for more toy reviews. Also, don't forget to check out my new TikTok account in the description below. Thanks for watching, take care, and stay safe.